Hey guys, got another knife review for you today, and this is the very exciting Cold Steel AK-47, and this is really one of probably the best tactical knives on the market today. It's just really well put together, and that's what it was designed for, is a defensive or tactical knife, and it would excel at that. You know, it's just put together really well, and it's a really nice design. So it could also be a very nice everyday carry knife, just a hard use everyday carry knife. And you know, it has the triad lock in there, a good thick blade, and the blade is 3.5 inches long, so it could make a very nice, just hard use everyday carry knife if you like a little bit bigger knife. Now it is kind of heavy, well, not too much, but on the heavier side, right around 5.3 ounces. So I don't know. I mean, for just kind of an everyday carry knife or something, that's totally doable. You know, 5.3 ounces, you know, you can carry that around no problem. But, you know, maybe if you're a soldier, well, first of all, if you're a soldier, I'd probably recommend you just go with a fixed blade. But, you know, maybe if you're a soldier or a police officer, you know, carrying your duty belt and everything with you, you know, the ounces add up. Definitely you're backpacking or something. You know, maybe if you just need a good defensive knife, I'd recommend just the Spyderco Delica full flat grind. This thing's right around 3.3 ounces, so 2 ounces lighter, and a little bit bigger blade. Not quite as strong, but definitely strong enough. So, you know, maybe, and also a little bit thinner. So I'd steer you towards this if you're just going for a just a good lightweight, thin, small knife. But this thing is a tank. And you know, really it rivals, you know, titanium frame locks and all that type of stuff in strength. It's probably stronger. So that's really awesome. So let's get into the blade here. This is 3.5 inches long. It's made out of Cold Steel's AUS 8A steel. That's a pretty common steel. Lots of people use it. I like it a lot. It's you know, not the very top end steel, but I like it. It holds the edge well. It's easy to sharpen. And it goes very sharp. Comes very sharp from Cold Steel. And that relief edge is really squared away. You're not going to have to reprofile this to be able to easily sharpen it. Very nice edge that comes on it. So, you know, that AUS 8 steel, the only real downfall to AUS 8 is that it can rust. So they have put this, I think it's like a Teflon coating, you know, on it. And so that coating will wear with time, or, you know, depending on what you're doing with it. But it should help with rust. And if you're really worried about it, or, you know, in a very high moisture environment, I recommend just putting some mineral oil in there, and you'll be fine. So really nice blade shape as well. Lots of belly in there. Really good for slicing tasks, or you know, slashing or whatever. And you have a really nice point on there. Very strong. You can really, you know, pierce very well with this. Sharp and strong. And you also have a 3.5 millimeter thick stock on here. So a really beefy blade. It's very wide and hollow ground, so it should slice really well. So really kind of a perfection blade. I love this blade shape. Strong and functional. Now your lock on here is that very interesting Cold Steel triad lock. First of all, you'll notice how far that lock bar comes out. It really locks in there. You'll notice when I open it, it really has a very satisfying, you know, lock-in. Really crunches in there. And what they've done with this triad lock, you can go on their website and they have a diagram that will explain it, is basically they've just modified a normal back lock, and they've put in a stop pin there. And so that stop pin is taking all the upward forces instead of them just going straight into the lock bar. So, you know, I've been very happy with just a normal back lock, but I haven't really hard used it, you know, like a ton. This thing I think will be very, very strong. And you can look up the videos on YouTube of people pounding this through logs, you know, stabbing it through stuff. It's just a very, very strong lock. About as close to a fixed blade as you can get with a folder. You know, as always, if you're just gonna go out there and, you know, I don't know, bushcraft or just really, really hard use a knife, I always recommend just using a fixed blade. You know, I mean, I've broken fixed blades before, so, you know, just because it's a fixed blade doesn't mean that it's indestructible, but you know, it's definitely going to be stronger. but about as close to a fixed blade as you can get in a folding knife. So a very, very strong knife. And part of what helps with that strength is also these handles. These are made out of solid G10, and I really love solid G10 handles. They didn't put any steel in there to screw up the weight. Now it is still a 5.3 ounce knife, but I can guarantee if they put steel in there, it would have been a 6, 7, 8 ounce knife. So they did help lighten it up by just going with solid G10 handles. Very strong. G10's a very strong material. You don't need the steel in there at all, and it does help keep the weight down. You will notice that on these handles it's a very high traction G10, which is really nice, and also the handle on here is really kind of cut out. Your hand really kind of just fits in this thing like a glove. It's really great. So high traction, you're not going to lose your grip on this thing at all. There's no jimping up there on the top, or really a thumb ramp. I do love how on this Delica there's that high thumb ramp with that awesome jimping. So this locks in well. This locks in well too, just kind of in a different way. So you don't need the jimping on there at all, because your hand just fits in there so well. And I have smaller hands, but if you have big hands, it will accommodate you too. And it is a big handle compared to the blade, which I like because it gives you a lot of real estate there. And also, you're not going to slip up on that blade. You're a little removed from the blade, which is nice. If you're thinking of this, in the philosophy of fighting with this or something like that. So I love the handle, and it is totally removable. You can adjust your pivot point with Torx bits, or take the whole thing apart. But you don't need to adjust that pivot point. It's rock solid lockup, and it's actually very smooth opening. It's not gritty or anything. It's really smooth, and you'll notice that blade is very polished there on that wear surface. So that's great. Now your clip on here is well designed. It's very, very strong. I like how small it is. It's not overly large, but it retains well. It can get over some thicker material if you have to, real thick pants pockets or something. But I don't like how that really high traction G10 is right under the pocket clip, because that's going to shred up your pockets if you're not careful. So I recommend you pop that pocket clip off and just sand under there a little bit. Cold Steel didn't do it because it's a reversible pocket clip, so that they would have had to kind of remove some material on both sides. So just do it yourself. It's not a big issue. And this is going to be a completely ambidextrous knife, which is great. You can put the pocket clip on the other side. Now it is tip up only. I don't care. That's great. I prefer tip up anyway. So I'm not bummed at all that they didn't give you a tip down option. So tip up only, and right or left handed. You can open it right or left-handed with this thumb plate on here, which is pretty well designed. I do have a few complaints with it, but you do have that Emerson option there, which means you can snag this on your pocket and flick that out of your pocket. I'm not sure how realistic that is. I know you can do it, and if you practice, you can do it very well. I'm just saying, in a real life situation, I'm not sure that you're really going to be, trying to snag this thing on your pocket. I might just take it out and just open it up, but I don't know. You do have it, and it's a very cool feature, even if you're just using it to show off to your friends or whatever. So the idea here is that you can snag it on your pocket like that and use the Emerson, or you can just open it like normal, which is what I prefer. Now I do wish that they had made this this plate stick out just a little more on both sides, because to me it's just, I don't know, I kind of got to dig for it. I really got to try to snag that and get it open. Whereas if you look at, I don't know, just like a thumb stud here, or even just like a spider hole, that is really easy to grab and get it open. So I wish they just made this plate just a little bit bigger, just to open it a little bit easier. But I think that's really just kind of something you got to get used to, and you'll be fine with it. Another great thing they have on here is this big aluminum pommel, which I really love, which is awesome because, first of all, it gives you an option for a non-lethal option. If you're carrying a lethal weapon, this is a very lethal weapon, you should have a non-lethal option too. So this is a aluminum pommel, and I'm telling you, you smack somebody in the thigh with that, you hit them with that, and that's gonna really hurt. So aluminum pommel in there is great. Also, I mean, you can use it when the knife's open too, you know. And you also have your lanyard hole right there. So if you want to throw a lanyard on there, you can. Now, one thing I forgot to mention with the clip is you'll notice it's not super deep carry. There's a little bit sticking out. Now, I don't know. Most of the time, you know, with everyday carry knives like this Buck Vantage, you know, I really like these very deep clip, really deep carry clips that you know, don't show much of the knife. But in this role, as a defensive knife mostly, it is nice to be able to get to the knife quickly. So a little bit sticking out just so you can get to it fast is nice. And that clip's strong enough, I wouldn't worry about losing the knife at all. It's more just how much do you want showing. So not a big issue, I don't think. So overall, I mean, I really love this knife. It's strong, it's, you know, really durable, thick, broad, robust blade that's going to slice well. And they're coming in right around 75 bucks. So not the cheapest knife in the world, but worth it, I think. You know, it's not the best deal in the world, I don't think, but I think it's a very fair price for what you're getting. And I'll leave it at that. Now, it is made in Taiwan. Some people will take take issue with that. You know, say they'll only buy U.S. produced knives or something, which, you know, I understand. So, you know, I'll roll on a few competitive options or other just, you know, other knives for size comparison. One great thing, or one great other option that is U.S. produced, Spyderco Man X2. This thing, made in Golden, Colorado, USA Earth. So, gotta love that. And not maybe quite as strong. That has the triad lock. This is their cage ball lock, but definitely strong. You got full steel liners in there, so this sucker's pretty tough. And you know, similar size blade, and the ergonomics on this thing are just fantastic. Also, reference my review. This is probably one of my favorite all-time knives. And really, you're looking maybe more 80 to 85 on this. So not that much more to get into a Spyderco Man X2. Great knife as well. Better steel. This is 154 cm. So you know, also maybe a little more compact, a little bit lighter weight. So Man X2 is a great option. Like I talked to before, the Endura by Spyderco. Another great option. A little bit bigger blade, thinner, lighter. Again, not quite as strong, but nice knife as well. Here's a much more affordable option. Ontario Rat 1. That's a good knife, 5 ounces. So, you know, when you're around 5 ounces, there's a lot of options. So that's a good knife as well. It's a liner lock, so again, you're not getting the strength, but it's a pretty robust liner lock. Locks up very tightly, and I've actually split up, you know, just small kindling with a Rat 1, and it was, you know, it stood up to the task. So another good knife. You know, I'd take a look at it too. There's kind of how they compare in size. This is a very large scale knife. If you have big hands or you know, you're a tall guy or something, you'll probably like this. So you know, I think it's a fantastic knife, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to leave that in the comments, and I'd be happy to help you guys out. So everyone have a nice day, and thanks for watching.